The legacy of Jack Nicholson's Joker has taken a bit of a beating as of late, with Heath Ledger's and Joaquin Phoenix's performances somewhat overshadowing Nicholson's version of the character, and while it is objectively the weaker of the three, there's still a lot to enjoy in what Jack did. Tim Burton's take on the character is in many ways unconventional, but Nicholson offset that with something more typically over-the-top and dramatic, making some of the more blatant meddling with the Batman mythos more palatable. In short, despite not being the best Joker out there, Nicholson was bloody good, and deserves a little respect. With that in mind, I'm Will for What Culture, and here are 8 little-known ways Jack Nicholson made Burton's Joker awesome. 8. He picked the makeup design. Perhaps the most important element of the Joker is the look. You can have the best performance ever, but if he doesn't go beyond a simple clown in makeup, he'll never really be terrifying. No one understood that better than Nicholson. After all, everyone knew he could play a psycho. This is the guy who was in The Shining after all. But he wasn't just doing any old psycho here. This was the freaking Joker. Taking no chances, Nicholson would not take the role until he'd seen and approved what his character would look like. Burton presented him with a few different designs, one of which he could thankfully muster. This attention to detail does make sense. Cesar Romero's Joker had been much simpler, with the actor not even shaving his moustache for the role, and dated accordingly. It not only shows how much Nicholson understood what the character needed to work seriously, but also highlights how much sway the actor had on the production. 7. He improvised the bird dance. It's one of Batman's tensest scenes, and every day Bruce Wayne comes up against the Joker in Vicky Vale's flat, with the latter accidentally revealing his involvement in the millionaire's parents' murder. Shooting Wayne and menacing Vale, this is Nicholson's Joker at his most unnerving. Then, leaving the apartment, he leaps into melodrama, starts laughing manically, and dances off with a raspberry. That was unexpected. It's a great encapsulation of the dual threat and unpredictability of the character, but boy is that not how we did expect the showdown to end. It seems like it was intended to be all part of the escalating ridiculousness of the scene, but it turns out that wasn't the case. Nicholson improvised that dancing exit. Called the bird dance by the actor, he came up with it on set, proving just how much a little improvised action can add to a character on film. 6. Robin Williams was used to convince him to take the role. It's hard to imagine given how much fun he had delivering a great performance, but Jack Nicholson wasn't initially convinced about playing the Joker. In one of the most intriguing almost casts of all time, the role was instead offered to Robin Williams. It'd be fun to theorize what the late comedian would have brought to the role, but he, in reality, wasn't a full contender. It was all just a trick to get Nicholson to sign up. This may sound less like Nicholson adding something to the role, and more like Warner Brothers treating A-list actors like toys, but it actually had a big impact on how he approached the role. It was clear he was heavily desired to play Joker, and thus he began to give out bigger demands. The aforementioned makeup design, a share of both box office and merchandise profits, and even more ridiculous things which we'll look at next. Also, this wasn't the last time William was linked to the role of a Batman villain. He was almost cast as the Riddler in Batman Forever. 5. He fought for top billing. Robert Downey Jr. is the star of Iron Man. Tom Holland is the star of Spider-Man. Christian Bale is the star of the Dark Knight trilogy. But the star of Burton's Batman, well, according to all the marketing, it's Jack Nicholson, with Bruce Wayne himself, Michael Keaton, taking second billing. You could argue this is justified. After all, the first half of the film shrouds Wayne in mystery, spending more time with reporters Vicky Vale and Knox, as well as pre-transformation Jack Napier. But who in their right minds doesn't put Batman at the top of the marquee for a Batman movie? Well, this was all down to Nicholson. One of the multitude of conditions of his signing on to play the character, the actor demanded he got top billing in the publicity of the film. If that sounds a little self-gratifying, you are kinda right. Still, putting the Joker front and center in the marketing made him an even more central element of Batman, making the audience love him that little bit more. 4. Bob the Goon. No criminal can reach super villain level without a little help. The Joker knows his massive set-piece mayhem/crimes aren't one-man jobs, so to help him with the money throwing, he employs a large team of goons. Hired goons. Inherited from his previous life as a more conventional psychotic gangster, the most loyal of these goons was the second in command, Bob the Goon. Present in most of the Joker's escapades, most notably saving his boss from Batman, he's actually pretty competent as far as goons go. In another show of the power Nicholson wielded in the productions, Bob was portrayed by Tracy Walter, a character actor with a massively impressive filmography and close friend of Jackie Boy himself. Because he was his mate, Nicholson convinced Burton and co. to cast Walter in the part. Surrounding yourself with friends is a great way to have extra fun at a job. That is, of course, until you kill them off out of undirected anger. 3. He found Joker's humour tasteless. Although he's one of the flat-out funnier members of Batman's Rogues Gallery, it's not really possible to laugh along with the Joker. Heck, it took the Joker kidnapping Commissioner Gordon and crippling Barbara Gordon to get Batman to even come close to eliciting a chuckle. This naturally makes playing him convincingly rather tricky. There's no relatable motivation. Even in Batman, where we get to see the Joker pre-transformation, Jack Napier is still an off-kilter killer who would feature rather low on a list of movie characters you'd willingly have a pint with. Interestingly, this is what made the role so attractive to Nicholson. He has since stated what he really likes about the character is that his sense of humour is completely tasteless. Making that leap and loving that element allow Nicholson to fully embrace the role, never questioning when was too much, although that Prince dance might have been too far. 2. What a day. Although pretty much any time Joker's on screen, Nicholson steals the show, there's no moment quite like his first introduction as the Joker. Confronting mob boss Carl Grissom, we finally get to see just how horrific the Joker's new look really is, and experience one of the film's best death scenes. To circus music, Joker delightfully fills Grissom with a full round of bullets, afterwards drolly muttering, "What a day." You're probably expecting the usual "it was improvised" spiel here, but actually it's something even more interesting. The line is from another Nicholson film, The Witches of Eastwick. There, Jack plays a reimagined devil who, in between all of his nefarious actions, utters the same line. Sharing producers, distributor, and actor, odds are this line was included as a very basic in-joke. Although it means very little now, at the time The Witches was only 2 years old, and it's a little nod on the film's part to just how big Nicholson really was. 1. He made the Joker middle-aged. Like any comic book character, there's been countless reinventions of the Joker, and thus there were a lot of avenues Burton and the rest of the team could have gone down. In fact, they almost did go in a completely different direction, having the character be much younger. According to the original script, he'd have been 32. This would have obviously drawn up more distinct parallels with Batman, putting the film's hero and villain at a similar age and thus mirroring each other more. This idea went out the window when the production began to eye up Jack Nicholson for the role, and thus a more experienced Napier was introduced. As well as changing the characterization completely, this had a major impact on the film. It allowed the screenwriters to make the Joker the killer of Thomas and Martha Wayne. This was a late-in-the-day plot alteration, and was only possible because Nicholson's Joker was old enough to have been an active criminal when Bruce Wayne was a young boy. It may seem small, but that one wrinkle in the plot is the element that really characterizes Nicholson's Joker as different from all the others we've seen. And there you have it, folks, 8 little-known ways Jack Nicholson made Burton's Joker awesome. Feel free to drop this video a like if you enjoyed it, and drop me a follow on Twitter at YouSlyDogU. I'm Will for What Culture, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time.